Welcome to today's webinar, How to Begin and Win with Content Marketing. My name is Stacy Combest, a social media coordinator at WTWH Media, and I will be your moderator for today. This webinar will be available at our marketing site, marketing.wtwhmedia.com. We are going to have a Q&A session at the end of the webinar, so make sure to submit all of your questions in the question box in your panel. We are also sending a survey in our follow-up email. If you fill it out, you'll be entered into a drawing for a chance to win Joe Palazzi's book, Epic Content Marketing. And finally, please use hashtag CMWebinar to tweet about key points and takeaways. Today, our presenters are Heather Santorbi and Carly Evilsizer. Heather is a social media enthusiast, putting her skills to use in the renewable energy and design engineering fields. She helps manage social media outlets such as Google+, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and Twitter for WTWH Media and its clients while helping plan, promote, and execute company events. Carly loves all things marketing and manages social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, Google+, YouTube, and Pinterest for WTWH clients and Design World. She also writes blog posts for WTWH marketing site and assists in promotion and execution of webinars. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass the controls to Heather.
Thanks, Stacy. So we'll just go over our agenda here for today, which is we will cover what is content marketing, why should you care, getting started, and best practices. The user is in control is something that we discuss a lot here at WTWH. We're very aware that media has forever changed and that marketers must have ROI. These two things are the only ones that have really stayed the same since WTWH began a few years ago. Everyone now has the ability to publish, but users are in control of how they're getting their information, and that media is going to continue to evolve, and we need to be sure we're evolving with it while still delivering content on the user's terms. So it's really important to deliver unique, high-value content while providing marketers ROI, and to remember that media and how people consume it is always going to be changing, which leads me into my next point of the evolution of media. So technology is always evolving. It's enabling everyone to become a publisher. People used to, and they still do, they get their news from newspapers and magazines, but with the evolution of the internet, the media is now available in multiple other ways, and one of those other ways is social media. And social media is a great tool. It has a lot of great uses for it. It's a great way to create and grow your audience around your brand and around your industry. All the platforms out there, they really allow open distribution, and it goes back to, once again, the user being in control, because some users are on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, and Pinterest, but then you have some that are only on maybe Facebook and Twitter. So you do need to be cognizant of that and to really know your audience and to know which platforms they're using and how they're using it. So now that people can decide which platforms to get their information on, they can also decide what kind of content that they want to consume. So my generation would prefer to consume their information online, whereas the older generation is still wanting newspapers and magazines delivered to them. For me, I personally have never actually sat down and watched the news or opened a newspaper. I go directly to Twitter. And just to kind of show the evolution of that, I would say 3 years ago, my main news sources were yahoo.com and google.com, and now I don't even go there. I go straight to Twitter and Facebook in the morning to find out my news. And at the bottom, you know, we have the evolution from print to content marketing. So we started out with print, we started out with newspapers, and we started out with magazines, and then we evolved into the web. So we have google.com, we have yahoo.com, and then we evolved into social media. And now we evolved into content marketing, which Carly is going to give a brief overview of.
Thanks, Heather. So what is content marketing exactly? Content marketing is the process of increasing sales by creating and delivering high-quality content to your customers. Content marketing should work to inform, educate, and entertain your target audience. A couple examples of content marketing are webinars, podcasts, ebooks, videos, blog posts, case studies, and white papers. You should be creating content based on what your audience and what your customers want, not based on your company. It shouldn't sound like a sales pitch. So make sure your content marketing is directed towards your audience. And remember, it's not content marketing unless your audience finds it interesting and valuable. So why should you care about content marketing? Everyone can distribute content marketing through social media, but the number one way to be found is through search engines. So creating content will help you be found through these search engines, which will then lead to increased sales. So creating content will then populate your site with those keywords to improve the SEO. And you got to keep in mind Google's new algorithm. Google's new algorithm doesn't just base their results on how many times the keyword pops up, but also by the value of the content. So in order to stand out in search engines, you need to make sure your keyword is used often and that you are also creating unique and valuable content. So getting started with content marketing. Before you get started, you need to set a long-term goal. Get together with your management team and create a long-term plan. What do you want to do with your content marketing? What are your goals? You need to create at least a 6-month plan in order to be able to measure ROI. Without at least 6 months worth of data, you won't really be able to see whether or not you are meeting your goals. And create company-wide goals for your content marketing. Are you trying to increase sales? Are you trying to generate better leads? Improve your brand image? Setting these goals ahead of time will help you measure ROI later on. You can create all the content you want, but if you don't have a way to measure ROI after, you don't actually know if your content marketing is fulfilling your goals. So one way that we suggest being able to measure your ROI is getting a marketing automation software. This software will allow you to measure your ROI and prove that you are meeting your goals with your content marketing. So once you set your company-wide goals, you can create a content marketing program. Now you need 3 things in order to create a successful content marketing program. You need to develop content, distribute your content through social media, and be able to measure the ROI with marketing automation software. You can't just create content and distribute it throughout all your social media platforms. That means nothing if you can't track it. So having a marketing automation software will give you more details about what each person is interested in, what are they clicking on, and then this in turn will help you better track your leads and send your customers through the sales funnel. Tracking will also be able to tell you what kind of content is popular. If one piece of content is getting a lot of clicks, maybe you should create another piece of content similar to that. And then keeping track of your customers and what they're interested in will in turn generate better leads to pass along to your sales team. There's no exact formula we can give you for guaranteed results other than consistency, time, and unique high-value content. So actually getting started with your content marketing, there are a couple things that you need to keep in mind to get started. The first thing you should do is brainstorm. What are the most commonly asked questions by your customers? Sit down with your entire company and have everyone brainstorm some of these most commonly asked questions. Take these questions and then begin with them as blog posts. Develop a content calendar. Once a week, post a blog post. Decide what you're going to write about and post once a week and then stick to it. Share responsibility of content. This will help make it easier for you to be consistent in your posting, and if you also involve multiple departments to write about different topics, this will also share the responsibility and make it a little bit easier to create content on a weekly basis. You should also be engaged on social media. Listen, follow, like, retweet, mention, and then share. You need to create an online presence and engage with your audience. So if they're asking you questions, whether they're positive or negative, you should be answering your questions and engaging with your audience. Always monitor your social media and then adjust and improve your content marketing program.
The last step when beginning content marketing is building your audience. So Xera Corporation here is a great example of doing that. Their Twitter page here shows a few of their associates who also have Xera related Twitter accounts, and how they went about building an audience is very similar to how we've done it with all three of our publications. They've gotten their employees to create and grow their personal accounts, which builds credibility, it builds thought leadership around the brand and industry, which essentially grows the brand's Twitter account to what it's grown to today. So a way to build your audience on Twitter is to follow like-minded individuals, follow like-minded companies. You want to follow your customers, you want to follow your prospects. Build out a list. It's very easy to, if you're not familiar with building lists on Twitter, it's something very easy to Google and learn. You just add those Twitter accounts to a specific, maybe a focus list, and you kind of really focus in on their tweets and retweeting them and tweeting to them and engaging with them. Once you do that, they hopefully will do the same to you, which means if they have 5,000 followers and they retweet your information, that's 5,000 more eyes that just saw your content, and they can retweet it to their followers. So it's just kind of endless possibilities when you're engaging with your audience on Twitter. And now we'll move on to how to win with content marketing. So some tools to support content development for blogging, for webinars, podcasts, marketing automation. You can use WordPress or Blogger, or you can even use HubSpot to develop blogs. WordPress is a very user-friendly platform to use and create content on. And webinars, GoToMeeting.com, which is what we're using today, or Join.me, are platforms that are very user-friendly to use as well. Podcasts, they're a great way to step into the digital media era. Podcast, for those not familiar, is a tool for people to learn about the industry. It's really good for interviews and great content that can be repurposed many ways. And their podcasts are pretty much free for the most part, and they don't take a whole lot of time to develop. So a process here that we take for our wind and solar podcast series is we first find an industry expert on maybe a hot topic on the industry. We'll reach out to that contact asking them if they're interested in doing a podcast, and we send them kind of pre-formed questions, not so that they can read the answers right off to us, but just so they're familiar with the topic, so you're not hearing a lot of ums and ahs, and just something that you can tell that they're passionate about talking about. So once we've confirmed our speaker, we usually reach out to them with Skype or a digital recorder, and it takes about 20 minutes to record the podcast, and then our editors are responsible for editing the podcast with Audacity. And Audacity is a free editing program, and it's, once again, very user-friendly. Marketing automation, which is something we've covered a lot here today. HubSpot, Marketo, Silverpop, they're all great platforms to use. They aren't only used for blogs, but they can be used for social media purposes as well. So it's a real easy way to schedule and to monitor your social media presence, and you can create campaigns within the platform. You can track clicks and leads directly through the campaign. So one way that I've seen HubSpot used is for HR purposes. If people are hiring for a few positions, they create an HR campaign through HubSpot, and all of their blogs, all of their content that's pushed out through social media, it's all done under their HR campaign. So that way they can track directly back to that campaign where their clicks came from, where their applications came from, and maybe their applications came mostly from Twitter. This platform helps you continue to publish content the way that your users are using the content. So whether that's through Twitter or whether that's through blogging. Leading the pack in content marketing, it's very important to know you don't need a ton of content to do this. It's really as easy as creating one piece of content, but repurposing it multiple ways. So the podcast we just discussed, that can easily be transcribed into a blog post, and you can add pictures in there. You can even insert the podcast into an ebook or maybe even a case study. Webinars, you can summarize those into a blog post. You can turn it into a video. You can even turn it into a white paper. And a white paper can turn into lead generation for you. All you have to do is create your white paper and then maybe turn that into a webinar. Well, when you're promoting your webinar, put a form in front of it so people have to register to see your webinar, and that way you're collecting leads from it. You can also turn your white paper into a blog post or a few blog posts. And then lastly, video. You can use the audio for a podcast. You can insert the video into a SlideShare presentation, or you can use it as a blog post as well. And now Carly will discuss other steps. Oh, jumped the gun there for real quick. So before, I forgot almost the most important part is distributing your content through all of your social media outlets. And keep in mind, building a channel takes time. Our Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn, YouTube, and Google Plus presence didn't just happen overnight. They did happen over a 4 or 5 year span. And this slide here shows the percentage of B2B small business marketers who use various social media platforms to distribute their content. And mostly from this chart that you can see, they're distributing it through LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. And this kind of goes back to what we've talked about the entire time, providing content on the user's terms. LinkedIn is more for business-minded people, so that's probably the best place to distribute your white paper or an industry-related article. And YouTube, you obviously want to push some videos out. And Twitter is a great place for links and photos and articles. They did just update their platform, so now photos are a huge part of their platform, and they're kind of becoming more like Facebook. And Facebook is a great way for any type of digital media, so podcasts, webinars, YouTube videos, any type of photos. And now Carly will discuss steps others have taken in the content development process.
So I want to look at some great examples for content marketing. Cole Morgan is a great example of developing their content. They have a blog called Blog in Motion, and the reason we think this is a great example is not only are they posting consistently and on a frequent basis, but they're also engaging their entire company. They have multiple people from within the company engaged in the blog. They are splitting up the responsibility of posting, so there are different people posting at different times about different topics. So this is a great way to make it easier to create content and also make sure you are creating content consistently. Our Design World editors also follow a similar strategy. They utilize a content calendar and split up responsibility for creating content. And they create content on certain topics and then will distribute their content on their social media platforms. All of our Design World editors have a work Twitter account. They will distribute their content through these work Twitter accounts, and then they will also create discussions on LinkedIn. So they are continuously creating content and engaging with their audience on social media platforms. Another way to kind of keep your content going is curating your content. We take our content and curate it into a newsletter. This is great because it becomes another piece of content for our customers and is another way to distribute our content. Cole Morgan is also very active on their social media. As you can see at the top of their page, they have links directly to all of their social media platforms. So this makes it very easy to share their content and get engaged. Another example that we want to look at for developing content is us. Design World actually has created a video called What is a Servo Motor? This video was posted 2 years ago and is still ranked #1 when you search what is a servo motor. It has over 35,000 views and is continuing to grow. The reason that this video has done so well is that it answers the basics. It answers what is a servo motor or how do you. Those are the most searched terms on YouTube. And you also have to keep in mind that YouTube is the second largest search engine besides Google. So it's very important to be on YouTube. You cannot neglect it. You need to make sure you're answering the common customer questions, because these are the questions that are going to create timely videos. These are the videos that will continuously have high views, and this in turn will give you better SEO rankings. Another example we want to look at is SimpleRay. They are a great example of content development because not only do they create content, they also curate content. So what this means is if you go on their website, they have an education section with resources. Now, this is where they post a lot of their content, but then they also have a section called Solar News and Articles, where they share articles that their customers might find interesting. This is really great because they are curating content, finding content that they want to align their company with, and this helps them create even more content for their customers while aligning them with other thought leaders in the industry. So this is a great way to not only stay engaged, but also align your company as an industry leader. So you can't only curate content, though. It's a great thing to supplement your content, but you cannot only curate it. One thing that they're also doing is they will be presenting a webinar with our Solar Power World team. After they present this webinar, they can then turn this into a blog post or a white paper and then continue to create content like Heather mentioned off of one piece of content. So another thing that they also do is, if you can see on the top of their website, they have links to all of their social media platforms. So once again, this makes it easy to engage with them and share their content.
And now that we've talked about companies that are doing content marketing right, we did want to mention one person who's doing content marketing right as well. Joe Palazzi. If you're not familiar with him, he's someone who really practices what he preaches, which is content marketing. He is the founder of Content Marketing Institute, and Content Marketing Institute, as you can see here on the left picture. Just from this screenshot, you can see how they have events, they have a magazine, they have consulting, they do blogs, they're active on Twitter, they do podcasts. So you can probably see why we chose to talk about him. He's really doing it right, and he's active on just anywhere that content marketing is being discussed, and he's really surrounding the user on their terms, because whether you get your information from a magazine, or you prefer going to events, or you want to get it from a blog post or a podcast, he has it all here, and he's doing it right, and he's been doing it right from the very beginning. So we kind of want to take what he does, which is he's anywhere there is a content marketing conversation happening. Kind of take that and apply that to your company. You want to be anywhere your company or your industry or your products are being talked about, and providing content on the user's terms. Joe Palazzi, he has almost 50,000 followers on Twitter, so if you don't have a Twitter account, maybe it's time to start a Twitter account up. He's also a publisher of a book. He's published multiple books, actually, and Epic Content Marketing is one that we're actually going to be giving away later, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. Content Marketing World. This is happening this year in Australia in about a week or so, but it's also happening in Cleveland at the new convention center, and it's happening September 8th through the 11th, and I really suggest that everybody attends this event if you're able to. I attended a few years ago when it was in Columbus. It was my first conference I'd actually ever attended, and I don't think I could ask for a better conference to have attended. It was very, very good. There were so many different tracks, so many different sessions to attend, and it's not just for social media professionals. It's for marketing experts, it's for editors, it's for really anyone that's creating content, which should be most people in your company. Everyone's a publisher now, everyone can create content. So I really suggest, if you're able to attend, that you do. So some recommended resources that we have for you is Joe Palazzi's book, Epic Content Marketing. And like I said before, we will be emailing a survey out along with the slides and a recording to the webinar early next week. And if you do fill out the survey, then you will have a chance to win a copy of his book for free. Jab, 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 Right Hook, How to Tell Your Story in a Noisy Social World is another great read. And Following Marketing Sherpa on Twitter is a great company that provides B2B content for marketers. And just some takeaways here today that, just a few takeaways. We hope you have more, but just the key ones that we wanted to focus on today were a basic understanding of what is content marketing, how to get started with content marketing, examples of content marketing done right, and just some resources to help you get started or to help you improve upon your current content marketing. And that's actually all we have for you today, but we are going to do some question and answers. So if you have any questions, please be sure to type them in the bottom of your GoToWebinar panel where it says questions.
Okay, so it looks like we have a few questions coming in. The first one I'm going to ask is, where do I get ideas for creating great content?
I can take that one. I think getting ideas for creating great content is following what your customers are doing and what your prospects are doing. So it's really important to be engaged with your audience, and you want to know what's resonating with your audience. So I think definitely getting a marketing automation platform like HubSpot, that's going to help you track, like we talked about before, where your audience really is. So test out different campaigns and see where your audience really is at. I think that's the best way to determine what kind of content you should be creating.
Okay, and then another question about content. What kind of content works best? Should I concentrate on just the stuff that works best, or should I try all different types?
I think that you should definitely start out with trying all different types of content. And once again, kind of going back to the question before, you should try out video, try out webinars, try out blog posts. Everybody learns a different way. I'm more of I like to read things. I like to read. I'm not as much of a visual person, so I would prefer to read an article rather than watch a YouTube video. And I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there who would prefer to watch a YouTube video rather than read an article. So I think it's important to surround the user with what kind of information, the information you want to provide them in multiple different ways, so they can kind of just test out the waters and see what works for them.
Okay, this one is for Heather. What type of content management calendar do you use?
Well, the content management calendar that I use, I work with many different clients. So it's more of working with the customer and asking them what kind of trade shows they have coming up. I get that from them when we do like our yearly planning. I'll find out what trade shows they have, and that way I know when I can start building out a kind of a calendar or content calendar around those shows and what kind of topics they want to use. I also find out what kind of products they're going to be releasing this year. I kind of find out the hot topics going on in the industry. Maybe it's sensors or the medical industry. Healthcare is a really big thing right now. So that's a huge thing to focus on for some of my customers.
Okay. What percentage would you say of end users are reading blogs as they research new suppliers?
Well, I think that using a marketing automation software will allow you to see how many clicks each blog post is getting. So we've actually noticed on social media some of our most clicked and most engaging posts are those pertaining to new product releases. So basing on some of our past experiences with social media, we've seen that product releases actually perform very well on social media. If you want to do a press release on your Facebook and include a really interesting photo, that's going to be a great post.
Is there any type of software available to create a content calendar?
They do have quite a few. There's a few content calendars, and we can email that out to you guys after as well. Sure, we can include that. They have templates, and it's just real easy, and you can kind of customize it to monthly, weekly, daily, whatever you want, but that's something that we can definitely send out. And even if you want to just do a quick Google search on content calendars, there's a lot of free platforms out there that and templates that you can use.
What is the value of using Twitter to share content when people reading the tweets are generally fellow marketers and not the target companies?
So we focus on a lot of business to business clients. So we actually have, we will share our clients' information on their Twitter accounts, and then they actually have quite a few companies that are resharing their information. And it is in the business to business that it is very popular to retweet other companies, your partners' information actually. So those are in the business to business, that's something that's very popular.
Okay, I have one last question here, so if anybody else has any questions, go ahead and get it in while we're answering this one. Should I always include an image or video, or is it okay to just put out text?
I think it is okay to just put out text, but on social media, you should try to always have a photo. Every single time we post on Facebook, we try and find a photo. So if you don't have a photo that goes along with your blog post, maybe you can find a quick clip art image or an image that's relating. There have been so many changes on Facebook and especially Twitter recently that are placing a much higher importance on images and making sure your posts are visually interesting. These are the posts that are going to be seen more often and are more likely to get the clicks.
Okay, I've got one more question that came in. How would you recommend using content marketing to increase traffic at my trade show booth?
One way you can do this is I've seen this done with webinars. We were actually hosting a webinar for a company, and what they did was they printed out basically the email draft of it and turned it into this real pretty piece of marketing information that they had at their booth. And I saw people walking around with it, and you can just kind of hand that out. You can also, for us, since we are publishers, we can pull up basically life-size pictures of our magazine, and we have those just showing there, just kind of at the side of our booth, showing who we are and what we do. What else can you do? There's a bunch of different items that you can use. You can print out maybe little business cards I've seen done. I've seen the business cards printed out. It's something we do actually to promote our tweet ups, and we print out the date, the time, the location, and we just have our salespeople and our editors go around and hand those out. So that can even be used to promote an upcoming webinar or an upcoming podcast that you have maybe. Those are just a few. If you want more ideas,
I've actually also heard of a lot of people will take some of their content that they've created over the year and compile that into a mini magazine to pass out at trade shows. So that's something that is becoming a little bit more popular and is a really great way to compile some of your most popular pieces that you've created.
Okay, this one is a little bit more Facebook specific. They're asking, what are image tags on Facebook? What are they used for?
Image tags are used to tag the person that's in the photo and to tag the company. So one thing that we like to do is if we're at a trade show and we take pictures, we'll create an album and we'll go and tag the appropriate company or the appropriate person with that image tag.
Okay, well that is going to wrap up our question and answer section. If anybody has any other questions, their information had been up during that session, so feel free to follow them on Twitter or email them. We would like to thank everybody for attending this webinar. Again, it's going to be up on our marketing site, marketing.wtwhmedia.com. We are also going to send the webinar out via email to everybody who registered. Again, the hashtag was #CMWebinar. And don't forget to complete the survey and the email that we send out for a chance to win Epic Marketing by Joe Palazzi. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.